Aye, we here. Welcome to the live, man. Um, we gonna talk about Drake and Kendrick tonight. I went live a couple nights ago, and the response I got from back from that live was kind of crazy. Um, a lot of people feel the same way I do. A lot of people feel like this beef is not over. A lot of them feel like it is, but a lot of them feel like me. A lot of them feel like this beef is not over now. I spoke about how this whole beef has helped kind of, I don't want to say reshape, but I do want to say it kind of energized the Rory and Mal podcast. Right? It put a little bit of a fire under them, and their podcast has been more entertaining recently during the Kendrick and Drake beef discussing that. Now, what I didn't get into was the Joe Budden podcast. All right. And the reason that I'm calling this episode Pod Wars because it's part two, and I'm speaking on the same thing. I'm speaking on why the beef is not over, but now I'm speaking on how podcasts have played a part in this beef, specifically Rory and Mal. I specifically Rory and Mal. Now, what I want to do now is just talk about Joe's reaction to everything. Now we know Joe said this out his own mouth that he wanted to see Drake bleed. All right, we heard that from Joe himself. I'm not the only one who heard that. I'm not the only one who remembers that. Now, I want y'all to look at the YouTube in the screen share, and I want y'all to see how Joe is reacting to Kendrick. When the first clip right here, when this dropped, the fight is over. When Not Like Us dropped, the fight is over. Look, I'm not saying other people didn't feel that way. A lot of people may have felt that way, may have felt that way. But Joe is going hard with the Kendrick narrative. Okay, he's using himself and his platform as a way to project the damage that's being done to Drake. Now, I don't know if this is a personal thing. I don't know. Maybe it could be they beefed in the past over music stuff, over behind the scenes stuff, over women. I'm hearing all alleged. Either way, and I spoke on this before, I feel like Joe Budden wants the fall of Drake, the end of Drake, the end of the Drake era. Joe Budden wants it to be on his watch. He wants to be the biggest podder in the hip hop community when Drake vacates the throne. Is he not making it obvious? And this is not to beat Joe Budden up. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm not saying this is evil. I'm saying that I've created a strategic thinking media platform. And that's what I do on my platform is look at others' strategic moves. This could be a business move for Joe. And that's cool. This could be strictly business. This could be how he aligns himself with Drake. Either on, it doesn't have to be on a good side. He can create an enemy out of Drake. That could be his nemesis. Because as a rap nemesis, Drake was a little bit too big for you, bro. You couldn't really get your shit off how you wanted. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Joe Budden has some good disses. He has some good songs. Fear, that was one of my favorite diss songs, probably of all time. And I'm a Drake fan. And that's a Drake diss, obviously. Still a great song. So I'm not here, waving my pom-poms for anybody. But what I'm saying is, because my platform is a strategic thinking platform, we got to look at what Joe's doing. We got to look at his angles. Look at his angles. Don't look at just the specific things that people are doing. Let's see how Joe Budden reacted to They Not Like Us. Let's see. Look at Joe. Look at Joe here, y'all. This is somebody who wants to push the narrative, whether it's let me not say narrative. This is somebody who wants to hype up and put fuel into the Kendrick train. I'm just pointing out what he's doing, y'all. I'm just pointing out what he's doing. I'm not judging him. I'm not saying whether it's good or bad. This is hip hop. You have a right to like who you like. You have a right to ride for whatever side you want to ride for. That's part of it. Having said that, though, sometimes people like to camouflage their moves. And I think this is kind of what Joe is doing. A little bit. I think he's way more to the Kendrick side than what he's making it seem. Or he was just all of a sudden swayed in that direction. I don't think he was. I think from the beginning, when Like That dropped, he knew the angle that he wanted. He knew what he wanted to do. He knew whose side he wanted to be on. And I can tell you, I go back to this. When Drake called him out, in tailor-made lyrics, is it on Genius? On tailor-made lyrics, we're gonna get to it, y'all. It might take me a minute because this is a lot, but we're gonna get to it. Here we go. Talk about him liking young girls. That's a gift for me. Heard it on the Button podcast. It's gotta be true. That was it right there, y'all. That was it right there, but they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about that. They want to listen to They Not Like Us and vibe out to it. And I can't blame them because that's a great song. But let's keep it real. Drake called it right here during the tailor-made freestyle. Talk about him liking young girls. That's a gift for me. Heard it on the Button podcast. It's got to be true. That was the call out right there. That was him calling out Joe Budden for creating that narrative. That was him calling out Joe Budden when he created, or let me not say he created that narrative, when he spoke on how Kendrick should expose that. That's the lyric right there. That's it. Heard it on the Budden podcast. It got to be true. Let's click on it. Let's read. Drake jokes that the ghost of late hip hop legend Tupac is pushing Kendrick to mention Drake's alleged pedophilia in his response to Drake's diss track Push Ups. This accusation most commonly stems from Drake's controversial close relationship with actress Millie Bobby Brown, though she was 20 years old when the song was released. Brown mentioned that she and Drake texted often during a 2018 Emmy Awards interview. Okay, are they going to speak on the podcast, the Budden podcast part? Here we go. Perfect. Here, Drake implicitly suggests that the allegations are false by joking that they originated on the Joe Budden podcast, the hip hop podcast, the retired rapper that Drake beefed with in 2016. No, this is incorrect. Allegations are false by joking that they originated on the Joe Budden podcast. That's not a joke, genius. Genius, that's not a joke. They did originate on the Joe Budden podcast. That's why he said it. Let me be clear. Other people have said this too. Yes. Why did he specifically say the Budden podcast? Because Joe Budden projected that message to Kendrick. The way he said it was he projected it to Kendrick like a bat signal, like, hey, nigga, do this. Joe not just going to come outright and say something. He's not going to say, Kendrick, this is what you should do. That's kind of what he said, but he said the only way Kendrick can win. But see, he did it in a way where he was kind of bigging up Drake. He was basically saying, oh, Drake is just this huge superstar. The only thing poor little Kendrick can do is talk about the allegations with young girls. He made it seem like Kendrick needed his help or needed the advice. Or Kendrick didn't have the raw talent and the skills. He needed controversy. He needed some type of scandal. A scandal that Joe Budden perpetuated and gave more life to. No pun intended. It's right here. Why wouldn't Drake say, and I mean, obviously it was Tupac's voice, but Drake wrote it. Why wouldn't he say, heard it on podcast, it's got to be true. Heard it on YouTube, it's got to be true. Heard it on the internet, it's got to be true. Heard it on social media, it's got to be true. All of those were options. He specifically said, heard it on the Budden podcast. It's got to be true. That was it right there. That was him foreshadowing everything that happened. Not everything, but pretty much the big scheme of things. Now, the song sounds great. Beat incredible. Engineering incredible. Beat drops, the bass, it's fire. The song is great. So maybe he didn't know it was gonna sound that good, but he knew this was coming. He knew those allegations was coming. And once Joe Budden said it, he knew he had to take it seriously. Why do you think he jumped out in front of it on the Taylor Made track? Because he knew it was coming. He knew it was coming. It just is what it is, man. He called it, but like I said, They Not Like Us was a banging track. Such a banging track that, you know, not many people went back to this Taylor Made record after that. Not many people went back to the Taylor Made record after that. But I just want to ask a couple of questions, all right? I want to ask Microsoft Copilot, how has the Joe Budden podcast been affected by Kendrick versus Drake? Let's see what happens.
The Joe Budden podcast has been buzzing with discussions about the ongoing Drake versus Kendrick Lamar beef. Joe Budden, a former rapper himself, has shared his insights on the tension between these two heavyweight artists. In one episode, he declared Kendrick the winner so far, while also expressing excitement about the rap beef brewing between Kendrick, J. Cole, and Drake. It's a hot topic in the hip-hop world, and fans are eagerly following every development.
Okay, now, he did say Kendrick was the winner, true. But their podcast has been hot since this beef. Now, the next question I'm going to ask. Joe, in the question that we asked before, we hear that he said Kendrick was the winner. Cool. A lot of people think Kendrick is the winner. Let's see why Joe thinks that.
Joe Budden, on his podcast, highlighted several points in the ongoing Drake versus Kendrick Lamar beef. Lyricism and artistry. Joe praised Kendrick Lamar's lyrical prowess and artistic depth. He emphasized Kendrick's ability to craft intricate verses and thought-provoking content. Consistency. Budden discussed how Kendrick consistently delivers high-quality albums, whereas Drake's output can be hit or miss. He pointed out that Kendrick's albums like Good Kid, Mad City, and To Pimp a Butterfly have left a lasting impact. Subliminal shots. Joe dissected the subliminal shots exchanged between the two artists in their songs. He analyzed lyrics, social media posts, and interviews to decode their hidden jabs. Cultural impact. Budden acknowledged Drake's massive commercial success and influence on pop culture. However, he argued that Kendrick's impact on hip-hop's artistic direction is more profound. Legacy. Joe speculated about the long-term legacy of both artists. He questioned whether Drake's dominance would overshadow Kendrick's legacy as a true hip-hop icon. Remember, these are Joe Budden's opinions, and the rap community has diverse views on this beef. It's an exciting topic that keeps fans engaged.
Okay, that's for sure. It's a very exciting topic that keeps fans engaged. But I want y'all to understand something about what you just heard. Listen to me very closely. And you can go back and replay it if you have to. But I want to tell you a little secret about what you just heard. Every reason that Joe Budden prefers Kendrick, if you listen back to everything he said, it has nothing to do with the diss records. It has nothing to do with the issue at hand. They said Joe speculated about the long-term legacy of both artists. He questioned whether Drake's dominance would overshadow Kendrick's legacy as a true hip-hop icon. What does that mean, Joe? Would Drake's dominance overshadow Kendrick's legacy as a true hip-hop icon? So you're saying Drake is just dominant. Like that's basically what Joe's trying to say. Drake just sells a lot. But Kendrick is a true hip-hop icon. If that's how you feel, regardless of who won this, regardless of the lyrics and the bars of this battle, you are probably going to pick Kendrick. Think about it. Cultural impact. Budden acknowledged Drake's massive commercial success and influence on pop culture. However, he argued that Kendrick's impact on hip-hop's artistic direction is more profound. Sounds like you just like Kendrick more, my boy. But I want to do something else. I want to take a look at something else. This episode is called Pod Wars, right? I want to take a look at something else, okay? Let's take a look at DJ Academic's IG. Okay. Now, there was an interview with the man who I'm going to figure out who this man is. I'm not going to flex like I know who he is. I don't. Who was talking to Kendrick Lamar, or excuse me, who was talking to Bootleg Kev about the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef. Like I said, this is called Pod Wars. If you notice, on podcasts, people continue to bring things up. People continue to bring things to the forefront. Not the records specifically, not things in the records, but small little back details about information, inside information. We're going to look at something else on the Joe Budden podcast, talking about inside information. We're going to get to that soon, but I want y'all to listen to this, all right? This is a guy who's close to Kendrick Lamar on Bootleg Kevin podcast. Now, you can't hear it through the screen record or through the screen share, but I'm going to play it for you so y'all can hear exactly what this man said. Now, what you're watching, this is the sound to it.
Hearing this first. Listening to fucking Meet the Grams, and I'm just like, I ain't gonna hold you. I'm gonna give you some real insight. Is you hearing this first?
Real insight.
They drop Family Matters, and I text him, I'm like, this ain't it. He's like, I'm like, this ain't gonna get it. I was like, man, it's time to step on his head. He was like, say less. I'm thinking we just it ain't nothing deep like that. I go to the bathroom. I come back. The motherfucking song is uploaded. I said, wait. I text him like, nigga, you already. He's like, man, I've been waiting for this nigga to drop something. So he didn't even know what he was going against. Man, Drake shot a video and all this shit, man. That guy was sitting at the caravan.
So he been had Meet the Grams in the tuck for Drake.
Sometimes you just gotta know what to do and what not to do. Some people, we all know over here, I'll say this. I've been in the studio with them all, like with all of the greatest people that ever shot. For sure, right? I've never seen nothing like that ever.
None of us have. None of us have seen nothing like this beef. The calculated, meticulous, psychological, mental mind games. All right, we haven't seen nothing like it. A salute to that dude. I'll probably be updating you on, if y'all don't put it in the comments, somebody can put it in the comments, update y'all on who that is. I'm not too sure. Either way, he has some good information there. Basically, he was telling Bootleg Kev that Meet the Grams was already ready. Kendrick already recorded it, already had it in the tuck. So he knew from the beginning what angle he was going to take. Now, why that's important is because this is a strategic thinking media platform. All right. And it's called Pod Wars. We see the Bootleg Kev podcast, another podcast where intimate details about this beef are being shared. This beef is not over. It's been brewing for too long to just end. People still want information. Now, let's go back to the Joe Budden podcast. All right. Let's go back to the Joe Budden podcast. Other information was released on the Joe Budden podcast. We had Elliott Wilson revealed on the Joe Budden podcast, the Joe Budden podcast again, with Drake stuff. Elliott Wilson said Drake sent him a rat emoji, believing that he was the one leaking info to Kendrick Lamar's team. Now, we can explain why. The reason that he thought that, when you look at these lyrics here, I don't know if y'all can see that, it says, but you so thirsty, you're not concerned with investigation. Instead, you in that Venice studio, place in California. Instead, you in that Venice studio, it's a celebration. You got to learn to fact check things and be less impatient. All right, that's from the Heart Part 6. The reason that is significant is because at the time, during this beef, Elliott Wilson was doing business in Venice as well. Now, Elliott Wilson is big in the rap community. He's a legendary hip-hop reporter, hip-hop writer. He's legendary at what he does. So it's not out of the ordinary that he would be around Kendrick Lamar or even bump into him or even know him or whatever the case may be. Now, it's another tweet here that said, yep. Okay, this is too small for me to read. Let me find it somewhere else. Because basically what he's saying is, it says, yep, Elliott has a show with DJ Heed. Drake told Elliott Family Matters was dropping that night. Elliott shared that with DJ Heed, and DJ Heed informed Kendrick and Twitter. Then MTG happened. Okay, so he's saying that Elliott told DJ Heed that Family Matters was dropping the night that it was going to drop. And he's saying that Elliott shared that with DJ Heed. Once Drake told Elliott that he was going to drop Family Matters, Elliott told DJ Heed told Kendrick Lamar, and then Meet the Grams happened. Now, from what we just heard from the Bootleg Kev podcast, that's not true. That's cap. Because as you see, the guy who seemed like he was close to Kendrick Lamar and he seemed like he's a reputable person, he said that Meet the Grams was already done. So the fake narratives are crazy. The fake narratives are crazy. I would like, and maybe this is in a Joe Budden podcast interview with Elliott Wilson. Did Drake really tell Elliott Wilson that Family Matters was dropping? If that is the case, if that was the case, why would that make Drake believe just because he told Elliott something and Kendrick replied quickly? Does he think that Elliott told? Does him and Elliott have some type of strained relationship? Because they've went back and forth before, but they've also done interviews before. So it is what it is. But this is another example of this beef not being over. Elliott. And I just want to ask you why. Why release this information on Joe Budden podcast? Why on a Joe Budden podcast? That's new information. Why does Joe deserve that information? Is it because Joe wants these type of conversations on his platform? I'm just asking. I'm asking. Just a question. Again, if he said this other places, I stand corrected. But we got to start thinking about the moves that people are making. What will be the next podcast that brings on somebody to talk about deep rooted information in this beef? Will it be academics? Will it be Joe Budden? Will it be bootleg Kev again? Will it be $1 million worth of game? Will it be Drink Champs? And some of these podcasts are guest based, and I get that. So they're going to be talking to their guest about what their guests got going on. That's fine. But I guarantee you, more information will be leaked through a podcast. There will be someone who has information about things that happen in the background of this beef, because there's been things going on for a long time. I think the record like that told us this. But hey, that's just my 2 cents, man. That's just my 2 cents. We looked at the podcast that was pushing the narratives. We looked at the podcast that were revealing the information. And it's not anything against these podcasts. I'm not attacking these podcasters or their platforms. I'm speaking to the scale of this feud. I'm speaking to the scale of these artists. That's all. And the scale of these artists is an indication of how long this beef is going to last. Now, that's my personal opinion about it, but I want y'all to get in the comments. But before I dip out, let me tell y'all, this beef has caused a storm in social media, a storm on YouTube, a storm in the streaming industry, in the content creating industry. Every beef will be covered like this. Every large scale beef will be covered like this. And a lot of people have made money during this beef. Kendrick and Drake are at the top of that list. Nobody's negotiating that, or nobody's negating that. But let's see how many times these songs were streamed.
During the heated beef between Drake and Kendrick Lamar, their diss tracks garnered significant attention. Here's the rundown. Kendrick Lamar. His diss track, 616 INLA, accumulated over 4.5 million streams. Another diss track, Meet the Grahams, received over 7.4 million streams. Drake. His diss track, Push Ups, was streamed approximately 93.7 million times. Kendrick's Euphoria surpassed it with 135.3 million streams. Overall, both artists had impressive streaming numbers, with Drake slightly edging out Kendrick in total streams.
Hundreds of millions of streams. Hundreds of millions. But I guess it's over, right? Y'all think y'all are saying it's over after Kendrick with his pop out shit. And I gotta get into that too. I have to get back into that because it was some things that went unsaid in the last stream. So let me just say this. That's gonna be what we're looking for. Obviously, both these guys got albums dropping this year. But before that, this Kendrick show, and I hope Maul is there. I hope Maul goes. Go, Maul. This show will tell us if the beef is quote unquote over. I know it's not, but it'll tell the people who believe it is if it's truly over. Who are the friends, Kendrick? Is it anybody from the Like That Diss? Are they going to perform like that? Is he going to perform any disses? What if he performs a diss? What if he performs They Not Like Us? What if he performs Euphoria? Is the beef over? This is Urban AI, urban artificial intelligence, where we turn artificial intelligence into our official intelligence. All right, we get smarter and we get better every day with AI. I appreciate y'all watching the Strategic Thinking Media platform. Like, share, and subscribe for more. I'm gonna see y'all next time. Peace.